Good evening, folks, and welcome to what I'm going to call my rant and rave, or whatever it is you want to call it, complaining or whatever. But I'm here to tell you that I heard Anthony Oliver's song. I hope I say that right, and I agree with the man. I think his song is awesome. I think he's singing from his heart. I think that it's time for us as Americans. Let me just put it this way: you're not a Democrat, and you're not a Republican, and you're not an independent. You're an American first and foremost. We are Americans. If you were born here or you were naturalized, you came here and you went through this stuff. My mom became a citizen of this country. And she's been here, well, I'm 63, and she's, I believe 87. And her family came over legally. So I believe if you're an American, I think this is what we need to do. We need to come together, and we need to make those people in Washington, D.C. realize that we don't work for them, that we are people with a government, not a government with a people, but a people with a government. That's where they have fallen down right there, first of all. And I'm tired of hearing about Biden and hunters and all this crap. They're not going to do anything. What they're going to do is they're going to do whatever they want to do. And at the end of the day, nothing is going to be done to the man. He's been in Congress or Senate, whatever, since he was 29 years old. And you can't tell me he just became crooked. No. I think the man's been that way, but not just him. It's the Mitch McConnells and the Mitt Romneys and even the McCarthys and all these people that have been there forever. They need to go. The Pelosi's, the Schumers, they need to go. Be gone, go home, do whatever you can. And I'm about to tell you something, and I'm going to prove my point. Okay? Until we make it affect them, till they feel the same thing you and I feel, they will never do anything about it. Here's my case in point. The border affected Texas. I was raised in Texas. I was raised in El Paso, Texas. I now live in North Carolina because I got away from the border. A lot of my problems went away when I left that border town. And the wages, I made more money away from El Paso than living in El Paso. Because I was always told, why should I pay you that? I can get them to come across the border, and for what I have to pay you, I can work 4 of them. And that's what they would tell me. So when I left El Paso and I worked in the oil fields, I spent 8 years in Texas oil fields, or 8, and I'm just estimating or whatever. But the point is that, see, it didn't affect New York. It didn't affect New Jersey. It didn't affect any of these states that weren't hooked directly to the border. It affected Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Florida. These states that were heavily, where people came to from across the border. That's what it affected. The second, those governors decided to send those illegals to New York, New Jersey, wherever they sent them to. Second, they put them on a bus. All of a sudden, those sanctuary states and cities all of a sudden said, oh, wait a minute, we didn't want that. Oh, we can't handle. Well, how do you think those people living on the border feel? And it's your Democrats, because in New York, it's a Democrat-run state. It's your Democrats that caused the problem. And now you're complaining. We've been telling you that for years and years and years. That being said, they've never wanted to fix the problem, the crisis at the border. When the Republicans had the power, had the Senate, the House, and the presidency, they could have fixed it. They didn't want to do it. Well, as long as we're in power, everything's all right. When the Democrats were in power, they had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They could have fixed it. And it had all been over with. But they didn't want to do it. They don't ever want to do it. They don't ever want to fix the real problem, the real issue. The real issue is very simple. It's a very simple fix. And what I mean by that is very simple. The following things can be done. If you hire someone who is here illegally, you get a $5,000 fine. No cutting the pay. No cutting the fine. Well, we'll cut it down to $500. No, $5,000 fine and 5 years in prison for hiring an illegal alien, someone who is not legally here, either on a work visa and allowed to work in the United States, and have to go under the same rules everybody else does. That's one way you can fix the problem. Now, for all those people jumping around going, oh, what about these poor people? What about these poor people? Fine. What we'll do is we'll make it where you can sponsor them to come over. You put your name on the list. They get fingerprinted. You get fingerprinted. So we have your fingerprints and your picture of you and a picture of them tied together. If they get in trouble with the law, you have to pay for their attorneys. You have to pay for their housing. You have to pay to feed them. You have to pay, not the taxpayers, you personally. You personally put your money where your mouth is. You have to open up your houses. Put your money where your mouth is. If they commit a crime, you pay for the attorney. And you have to pay retribution if they kill somebody, if they murder somebody. If they're criminals and they murder somebody, then you get to go to jail with them. And you have to pay retribution to the family. And I'm not talking about a few $1,000s, I'm talking about millions of dollars. That's how you stop that people screaming and shouting. Furthermore, the next thing we need to do is we need to take the pay of Congress and the Senate and even the President of the United States and lower it down. Because they're getting paid a lot of money to do absolutely nothing. I wish I could find me a job where I could go and do absolutely nothing and get paid like them. Yeah, let's just pay them what we pay Social Security recipients. And let's give them the same health care insurance as people on Medicare get. Besides, I've always had, in the South, we have the saying, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So, therefore, they would make whatever the Social Security is. When they retire, they don't get some fancy pension. They get Social Security like every other American does. Get Social Security. And they would have to pay $165, $175 a month for their insurance, and they would have to go in and find a plan like everybody on Medicare, like us folks on Medicare and Social Security have to do every year. We have to make sure our plans lined up with everything, and they have the same. See, what I'm saying is, if we make it affect them like it affects us, that's when things will change. The border. It affects them now. So now they want it all fixed. Social Security. I keep hearing this thing about, Social Security, we're looking at getting a 3.2% raise. Really? So you're going to tell me that the cost of living is only going up 3? I don't think so. I think we're being snowballed right there. I really do. I think we're being snowballed right there. Because you know what? I remember under President Trump, I was paying $1.80 for a gallon of gas. Yeah, that was before the pandemic. Way before the pandemic. It got down to about $1.80 for a gallon of gas. In my area, anyways. In my area. Now, today, it's $3.65 a gallon. That ain't no 3% or 8% or whatever you want to say. That's just not. Bread, the loaf of bread that I used to buy for $1 is now $1.85. That's not 8%. That's not 3%. That's almost doubled. My utility bill has gone up $50 from $125 to $179. That's not 8%. That's not 3%. And most of you will agree. Even my car insurance has gone up. My house insurance has gone up. Everything's gone up. And it's not 8 and 3%. It's gone up substantially. So we're being lied to on this cost of living. If you're on Social Security, you know what I'm talking about. We're being lied to. I think we need to get rid of everybody in Congress. The people that are there now, they don't need to be there the next time around. The people in the Senate, they don't need to be there. These people have been there forever. Mitch McConnell, I don't know, I think Noah brought 2 of them over. These people have been there forever. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi's, the Feinstein, look, these people are old. Send them home. We're not running an old folks home here, folks. These people need to go home. And no, they don't need to make a big retirement. They're already millionaires. You can check on what their net worth is. Why do they need to get any money from us after they leave? They don't. Go home. Leave. Go home. Let's put some people that think like us. That think about, well, gee, we're paying too much for a gallon of gas. Why are we paying so much for a gallon of gas? Well, that's a war in Ukraine. No, I tell you who funded that war in Ukraine. The Biden administration funded that war in Ukraine. How did he fund that war in Ukraine? When he stopped us from drilling for oil here. And he started buying oil from Russia. Yeah, he bought oil from Russia. And now, that gave him the money. Before that, Russia didn't have the money to start a war. They couldn't afford to start a war. He gave China the money. And now we're sending hundreds of billions of dollars over to Ukraine. Let me tell you something. We don't need to send anything to Ukraine. We don't need to send any money to any other country. Never again. That's it. That's it. We're through. Let's put some money back here into this country. Let's put some money back here into America. Let's put some money back in. Let's get some homeless people some homes. Let's get some people that need medication some medications. Let's get some people some health insurance that they can rely on. Let's get some people some help here in the United States. I'm sorry Ukraine's going through that. I feel sorry for these people, and I know they're suffering. A lot of them are, and I feel sorry for them. But it's their country. They need to fix it. We don't have the money to be spending over there. We don't have that kind of money. We got enough problems here. And yes, I know I'm talking a lot about different things, from the pay for Congress to their insurance that they get for free. We need to change that. The things we need to change, we need to drill in this country. And look, I'm all for alternative fuels and alternative cars. I'm all for that. But it's not going to happen overnight. No, it's not going to happen by 2035. It may not happen in my lifetime. I hope it happens in my grandson's lifetime, or in my son's, in my kid's lifetime, or my grandson's lifetime. I hope they have cars, electric cars that are safe to drive, that don't burn up, and they can charge them in 5 minutes, a fast charge, and they'll go 1,200 miles on a charge. That would just be wonderful. And I hope, they have power plants that are more efficient, and they can heat and cool their house and do it safely, and have an electric bill that's reasonable. I really do. I hope so. And we need to be working towards that. I agree. We do need to be working towards that. But till that time, let's become energy independent. Let's totally independent. Totally energy independent. And then we work on the infrastructure. Then we work on helping the American people. Then we work on the infrastructure. And we work on getting people on Social Security more money. Not 3.2% like they think they're going to give us. No. No. Well, they'll break Social Security. How come we've got all the money in the world to send to other countries? We can send hundreds of billions of dollars over to Ukraine. We can send hundreds of billions of dollars over to Egypt. We can send billions and billions of dollars to every other country. And we never talk about breaking that country, or we never talk about breaking us when we do that. But let us give anything to Social Security. Oh, you're going to break it. You're going to break Social Security. Bullcrap. We take some of that money that they freely were giving away, and we stuff it back into Social Security, stuff it back into Medicare. Look, folks, I know I'm speaking from experience here. I have kidney failure, and I'm about one step. My next step is dialysis. And when I go on dialysis, and I pray, and I hope and pray, and I hope you all pray for me, that I don't have to go on dialysis. My prayer is that I don't go on dialysis, and I'm doing everything in my power to stay off of dialysis. But I'm setting myself where I say, Lord, I know God can heal me, and I'm praying that he does heal me, and that's what I believe. And if you don't believe that, that's your business, but that's what I believe. But if he doesn't, and I end up on dialysis, I'm financially devastated at that point. But we got them hundreds of billions of dollars to send to Ukraine. And I'm not the only one who's been going through this. There's a lot of people that are on dialysis. There's a lot of people on certain medications that they need that we don't get because they're so expensive. They're too damn expensive. Because the drug companies feel like they've got to make 50, 60,000 or 50, 60% profit off every drug they sell. Why don't we start helping each other? Let's pull together. Let's pull together. And I'm not saying that I want Donald Trump back in office. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we need to put people in Congress and in the Senate that think like us. That's the first thing we need to do. We need to come together because we're tired of the rich men north of Richmond doing it to us, putting the screws to us. We're tired of it. We're fed up with it. I was talking to a guy at the store just today at Walmart. I was talking to a guy at Walmart. He was telling me the same thing. He had a shirt, the Oliver Anthony shirt on. And I admire the man. I admire Mr. Anthony or Oliver Anthony, however his name is. I admire the man. He turned down, he stopped a concert because they were charging too much for his tickets. I admire him. I admire him for that. He's sticking true to his principles. Thank you, sir. Thank you. May God bless you. May God really bless you for doing that. I'd really enjoy meeting the man one day. I really would. I'd like to meet him sometime. But I really like his music. I think he's an awesome individual. I think he's just a regular individual, like you and I are. But I think he's got a clean heart. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not perfect. There's nobody perfect. Now, the only perfect one that ever walked the earth was Jesus Christ. And he died for my sins and your sins, and he rose again on the third day. And one day he will return. But until he comes back, we got to start helping each other. We have to really start thinking about what we're doing, excuse me, at the voting booth, at the polls, who we're voting for. Do we really want these people in power? Do we really want to lose our rights and everything? And do we want the next presidency is going to be very important. I'll tell you that. And we don't need this guy that's in the White House right now in the White House. We just don't need him. And I don't know if we need Donald Trump back in there. I want someone who's young and got some good ideas. And I want some young people in Congress who will pledge not to try to raise their pay every chance they get, who will pledge to take a pay cut Congress's pay to whatever the median income is of the state they represent. I think that would be reasonable. Maybe $10,000 more. They say, well, we can't live in Washington on that. Here's a news flash for you. You're not supposed to live in Washington. You're supposed to live in the state that you represent. And you go to Washington to vote and hold meetings. And you don't even have to do that now. You can Skype. You can do whatever you want. We could set it up like that. They don't have to have houses in Washington. I'm sure we could find an old abandoned building and put it together where they can live there. While they're there, they stay there a couple of weeks and live there, and just like they work for a company, they go and they rent and they get so much a day to be out of town, and that would cut the federal government down. I'm just saying, folks, we've got to come together. If we don't come together, then we are lost. Then everything that our forefathers stood for, then every soldier that is buried in military cemeteries, we need to apologize to them for it. We need to apologize to their families. And I'm just going to read one thing. Tell you one thing. I don't care the color of your skin. If you were born here in the United States, or you became a citizen of this country, you're my brother. You're my sister. I'm an American. People ask me, well, so you're Hispanic, Mexican American? No, I'm an American with Hispanic descent. Okay? I'm an American first with Hispanic descent. And I understand that. But on my dad's side, I have Indian and French. So, what do I say? I'm a Mexican, French, Indian, American? No, I'm an American. And my heritage is Hispanic, Mexican, or Hispanic, Indian, and French. That's my mom and my dad. But I'm an American. Let's be Americans. Let's join together, hold hands, tell Washington we're tired of it. We're fed up with you. Get out of our house. Get out of our house. Get out of our Congress. Get out of our Senate. Go home. We're fed up with you. We're tired of you. Let's get some people in there that really want to work for us, the people. Let's get Congress in there that wants to work for the American people, not for some other country. Let's get a Senate in there that wants to work for us, not for some other country. Let's get a president in there that wants to work for us, not for some other country. And let's start thinking like Americans. Look, I'm not saying we can't help other countries, but we first have got to fix our problem. And the Bible says, how can you look at someone and say, well, you got a splinter in your eye when you've got a beam in yours? And right now, folks, we have a beam in our eye. That's what the problem is. We need to fix it, and we have the power to do it. We, the American people, we need to stand up, make the pledge again. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberties and justice for all. And we need to make that pledge right there. I pledge my allegiance to this country. A nation, one nation, under God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Under God. Justice for all. Justice for all. The justice system ought to work the same for everybody. Not just because one person has some political party or another political party, or one person has more money or less money. No, justice for all. We need to come together, folks. We need to bring everything together. Thank you for listening, and I hope God bless you, and you have a wonderful day.